The world, I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next hour. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Islamabad. US raises concerns with Israel over bombing campaign in Beirut, gives 30 days deadline to boost humanitarian aid into Gaza. Georgia voters turn out in record numbers as first day of early voting comes to a close. 9 other states to start early voting this week. And in sports, toss gets delayed due to rain in Bengaluru as India takes on New Zealand in the first test. Well, on to the top story. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is to attend a conclave of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization on Wednesday in Pakistan's Islamabad. Dr. S. Jaishankar arrived in Islamabad on Tuesday and attended a dinner reception for SCO delegates where he exchanged pleasantries with Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. Both the leaders warmly shook hands and held a very brief interaction. This is the first high-level visit from India in years amid continuing strain in ties between the two nations. The last visit to Pakistan by Foreign Minister was in 2015 by Sushma Swaraj. She had travelled to Islamabad in December 2015 to attend a conference on Afghanistan. An External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, started his power-packed schedule with a morning walk at the premises of the Indian High Commission in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar also planted a sapling at the premises of the Indian High Commission in Pakistan under the Plant for Mother campaign. Also, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Mongolian Prime Minister Oyun Erdene Lafsanzrai on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Islamabad, where the leaders expressed pleasure in discussing ways to further strengthen bilateral ties between the two nations. And India's Jessica Taneja joins us for more on this. Well, Jessica, Jaishankar's visit, of course, has garnered a lot of attention as it's a visit after almost a decade. And on the one hand, Indian and Pakistani foreign officers had ruled out bilateral talks between the two states. On the other, India remains actively engaged in various mechanisms of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. How do we see this visit and what's expected on the agenda?
Well, if you've seen from the recent past, relations between India and Pakistan have certainly not improved, at least to the bilateral level talks in so many years that we've seen. The last visit was, in fact, by Prime Minister in 2015 and previously by Sushma Swaraj that to attend a summit in Afghanistan, the Heart of Asia Summit. So, this kind of high-level delegation visit to an extent only seems to sort of look at this entire visit from the perspective of what India wants out of this, and with the representation, it necessarily does not come with any kind of bilateral talks with the Pakistani counterparts. That has certainly been ruled out, not just by External Affairs, not just by the Ministry of External Affairs, but also Dr. S. Jaishankar himself, who said that nothing of that sort has been planned in this visit. It is a multilateral summit, and it's his presence there, of course, would entail more engagements and would look at the various aspects of this multilateral engagement as to what India has to offer and what the regional players in cooperation would do. With that said, India's stand remains firm on the issue of terror. For many years now, India has stated that terror and talks will not go together. Till the time Pakistan continues to harbor terrorists and also allow its soil from emanating terrorist activities, India will not engage in any kind of formal talks, or perhaps even at the level where a lot of issues can be worked upon, especially with Pakistan's interference in Kashmir, which has agitated India for many years now, and it continues to do so with terror activities that are funded across the border. So until and unless those issues are sorted out or ironed out, no momentum can be seen further in the relations between the two countries. Apart from, of course, the truce on the border in 2021 that did ease tensions and laid the ground for talks. But as you heard officially from the government, which says that no talks between the two nations until and unless Pakistan settles the terror talk.
Well, Jessica, you spoke about some of the current complex geopolitical dynamics. How important is the moment for regional cooperation, especially for India?
Well, India's presence at the summit is indicative of one factor, which is to engage more with Central Asian countries and look at the grouping that currently there is at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. You have Kyrgyzstan, you have Tajikistan, you have Uzbekistan, and you also have Iran in it, along with Belarus, Pakistan, China, and Russia, of course. So the grouping in itself is quite significant in terms of the countries that it does include, especially Kazakhstan. The SCO Summit earlier was held in Kazakhstan, as you'd remember, just in June this year, where External Affairs Minister had gone as well, putting forth India's interest as to what it would gain out of this grouping, which particularly focuses on security and economic coordination in the Eurasian region. So an interaction and an engagement with the Central Asian nations is essential for India's economy, and perhaps with few oil-rich nations as well. This could further give momentum to India's economic powerhouse and continue on its own endeavors. And that is perhaps what India is seeking at multilateral events like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization or the BRICS Summit that there will be in the future.
All right, Jessica, thank you so much for all those details. And moving on, India's President Draupadi Murmu, who is on a visit to Algeria, was conferred with an honorary doctorate in Algiers in recognition of her advocacy of science and knowledge for all social groups in India. The President also visited the Roman ruins and the mausoleum in Tipaza province on the final day of a visit to Algeria.
India's President Draupadi Murmu is on a 3-day Algeria state visit. She was accorded the honorary doctorate by the Sidi Abdallah Science and Technology Pole University. President Murmu said that the doctorate conferred upon her is, in fact, an honor for India.
It is indeed a humbling experience for me to be honored with the honorary doctorate. This is an honor for my country more than for me as an individual. It is an honor you are bestowing on a country, citizen, and the culture that has been an ardent and consistent champion of peace and education since time immemorial.
President Murmu said that education neutralizes the social inequalities and provides equal opportunities for all. She urged the Algerian government to avail the benefits of India's iTech and other scholarship programs.
India provides quality education at a fraction of the cost of Western institutions to ever increasing number of students from Africa, including from Algeria. We also offer several scholarships and fellowships to African students. I invite educational institutions, governmental departments, and youth of Algeria to take advantage of various initiatives of Government of India.
President Murmu also visited the Roman ruins and the mausoleum in Tipaza province. She also inaugurated the India Corner at the Hama Garden at Jardin d'Assai. Earlier on Monday, President Murmu had a bilateral meeting with the country's President Abdelmadjid Tebboune. She also addressed the India-Algeria business community. President Murmu will also visit Mauritania and Malawi after concluding the Algeria visit.
The visit of President Draupadi Murmu to Algeria has indeed been a historic one. Some new chapters have been opened between the two countries which already share a cordial relationship. President Murmu also extended an invitation to the Algerian president, which he has accepted, and will be visiting India soon. With camera person Sandeep, Amit Mukherjee for DD India in Algiers.
Well, India has launched its textile policy for 2024, focusing on strengthening the textile sector. The policy offers different types of financial support for businesses, including capital subsidies and credit-linked interest subsidies. It further includes measures for quality certification, energy and water conservation savings, and technology acquisition support. The policy focuses on labor-intensive units defined as new industrial units and will also support self-help groups. In summary, the textile policy aims to strengthen India's textile industry, promote employment and improve competitiveness through various financial aids and technological support. And as the global landscape continues to shift towards a digitally driven future, AI is reshaping operations. KPMG, along with Cellular Operator Association of India, COAI, released with a report on redefining technology, media and telecommunications.
This report is talking about what is the impact of AI in TMT industry. And we are seeing that the world is divided into three parts. The people who are AI pioneers, they are doing everything and more. There are people who are AI enthusiasts, and there are people who are AI explorers. They're just starting up. The good news the report identifies is that there are very, very few people who are in AI explorer journey. Most of them have now moved to AI enthusiasts or pioneers. The second thing which the report has identified is that the AI is no longer being applied to do things faster, cheaper, better. It's being applied to do things which were never done before. So there's a big impact on the revenue maximization of TMT industry, which our report identifies.
And moving on, National Conference leader Omar Abdullah is all set to take oath as the first Chief Minister of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The ceremony will be held at the Sher-e-Kashmir International Convention Centre in Srinagar, with Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha administering the oath of office and secrecy. Abdullah will be the first Chief Minister of the Union Territory after the abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. Earlier, Omar Abdullah staked his claim to form the government, submitting letters of support from 42 National Conference MLAs, 4 independents, 6 Congress legislators and 1 CPIM representative. And still to come, DD India News Hour. Indian Army Chief is on a 4-day visit to Japan, aims to boost bilateral defense cooperation. Sea phase of Malabar Exercise 2024 underway in Visakhapatnam. A northeast monsoon rainfall activity commences over southeast Peninsula India from October 15th.
This week on Defense Dynamics, we will talk about the recent Army Commanders Conference 2024 held at Gangtok in Sikkim. We will tell you why these conferences are held and what do they discuss. Why was this Army Commanders Conference at Gangtok strategically so important? On the other side, in our neighborhood, why is Pashtun Tahaffuz movement a challenge for Pakistan? And also we will be diving deep into the story that has been at the forefront of global headlines, the tension between China and Taiwan. And also, we'll tell you how Taiwan plans to defend itself. Watch Defense Dynamics on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. IST only on DD India.
to Jaipur.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Khurana, and moving on with an aim to bolster defence cooperation between India and Japan. Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi is on a 4-day visit to the island country. During the visit, he met Defence Minister of Japan, General Nakatani, and conveyed his commitment to further boost the bilateral defence cooperation between the two nations. Army Chief also held bilateral meetings with his Japanese counterpart, General Yasunori Morishita, and discussed plans for enhancing the army-to-army ties. And India and Colombia reviewed the existing bilateral relations, including trade, investment, energy, IT, during the 10th round of Foreign Office consultations in New Delhi. The Indian delegation was led by Jaideep Mazumdar, Secretary East, while the Colombian side was represented by Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jorge Enrique Rogers Rodriguez. Both sides exchanged views on regional, multilateral and international issues of mutual interest. The two sides also identified new areas of cooperation such as in defence, renewable energy and railways. India and Colombia have a long history of diplomatic relations which were officially established in 1959. Colombia opened its embassy in New Delhi in 1972, followed by India establishing its embassy in Colombia in 1973. And the navies of India, the US, Australia and Japan are currently engaged in a wide range of maritime warfare operations as part of Exercise Malabar. The sea phase of Exercise Malabar 2024 kicked off on Tuesday off the coast of Visakhapatnam. As part of this phase, the participating navies will engage in a wide range of maritime warfare operations covering the surface, subsurface and air warfare domains. These advanced and complex exercises are designed to enhance mutual understanding and coordination with the aim of operating seamlessly as a combined task force at sea. The sea phase will further strengthen interoperability between the participating nations and contribute towards enhancing regional security and stability in the Indo-Pacific. The sea phase will culminate on 18th October 24 with the closing ceremony for Malabar 2024. And the Indian Medical Association Junior Doctor Network across the nation will be fasting in solidarity with the West Bengal Junior Doctors Front today. In a press statement, the IMA had stated that the junior doctors would hold the fast from dawn to dusk today across the country. This came after 5 resident doctors of Kolkata went on a hunger strike over the RG Medical College and Hospital murder-rape case. The doctors demand safety and security of doctors and healthcare workers in the hospitals, among others. And on Monday, the Resident Doctors Association of AIIMS New Delhi wrote an urgent letter to the President of India requesting immediate intervention in the ongoing doctors' hunger strike. Well, continuous growth is being recorded in exports from India's Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh occupies 15th position in terms of exports, but in recent years it has registered a sharp rise in the figures. Pharmaceuticals, residue and waste, cotton, mechanical equipment and textile sector make up for most of the exports. According to the data of financial year 2023-24, the highest export was of pharmaceutical products at rupees 13,158 crore rupees.
Export which has been continuously increasing in Madhya Pradesh, especially due to the 2 reasons. One, the inclination of Madhya Pradesh in manufacturers and service providers to go beyond boundaries and export their services and products to outside countries. And secondly, the friendly policies of the government that encourages the manufacturer and every entrepreneur to go towards export.
Madhya Pradesh government itself has first insisted on diversifying, so a lot of cities have now become textile export hubs, and they have given a lot of incentives in terms of interest subsidy, interest subvention, and TUFS, Textile Upgradation Fund Scheme, which of course comes from the central government, but a modified version has also been given by the Madhya Pradesh government.
Well, India's aviation authorities are on high alert after multiple flights received bomb threats since Monday. On Tuesday, an Indigo flight bound for Lucknow from Damdam in Saudi Arabia made an emergency landing at Jaipur airport after receiving a bomb threat. A bomb detection and disposal squad and sniffer dogs checked the plane and no suspicious object was found. Another plane, an Air India Express flight, made emergency landing at Maharishi Valmiki Airport in Ayodhya after a bomb threat. The recent wave of threats began on Monday when 2 Indigo flights and an Air India flight received bomb threats, which were later identified as hoaxes. The series of threats prompted emergency responses from airlines and security agencies, including immediate counter-terrorism drills at various airports. The Ministry of Civil Aviation also convened a high-level meeting following the threats. According to the sources, Minister of Civil Aviation Ram Mohan Naidu held a meeting with the Bureau of Civil Aviation, CISF, and other senior officials in airport security. And over 3 lakh Indian tourists have travelled to Sri Lanka this year, making India the biggest source market for tourism in the island. Sri Lankan Tourism Development Authority said that over 15 lakh tourists have visited the island nation this year up to mid-October. It is notable that connectivity has been an important facet of bilateral relations between India and Sri Lanka during the recent years. With regular flights on one hand and resumption of ferry services on the other, travel between the two countries has become easier and comfortable. Sri Lankan tourism authorities have recently said that they expect 3 million foreign tourists in 2025, which could take the tourism industry to pre-COVID levels. And now some weather updates from across India. South Indian city of Chennai and neighbouring districts have experienced heavy rains over the past 24 hours with an average of 15 centimetres of rainfall recorded. Several areas including Tiruvatiyur, Manali, TVK Nagar and Anna Nagar received over 200 mm of rainfall, leading to significant water logging and disruption. The heavy rainfall is due to a depression over the southwest Bay of Bengal, which moved west-northwestwards at a speed of 12 km per hour. The depression was located 360 kilometers east-southeast of Chennai and southeast of Nellore. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued a warning that the depression is expected to move further west-northwestwards and cross the North Tamil Nadu, South Andhra Pradesh coast between Puducherry and Nellore close to Chennai early on Thursday morning. With more rain forecasted, the Tamil Nadu government has declared a public holiday for schools and government offices. Also, flight operations at Chennai International Airport have been affected with several delays and cancellations due to poor visibility and weather conditions. And India's Anbarasan Ilangu joins us from South India's Chennai on this. Well, Anbarasan, what's the situation there? How is the rain going?
Right now, actually, the rainfall is somehow stopped in Chennai, particularly the neighboring district. As the Indian Meteorological Department has predicted, last 24 hours, the 15 centimeter of rain in Chennai and neighboring district. So we have seen the water logging situation in major parts of city, and right now somehow it's those water and also it's receding across the district and particularly the city. And the IMD prediction is given in the morning. It says that the depression has intensified and it's going towards the southwest part of and going towards the southern Andhra. So somehow the city, some water has been receded and the rainfall is significantly decreased. And also the situation in Chennai city right now is somehow normal. And some prediction are saying that the rain may come on afternoon onwards. And also the IMD has given previously the red alert today and also the orange alert tomorrow. And we have seen the state administration and local authorities in all in full swing regarding the preparation work. And particularly this monsoon season, the northeastern monsoon has significantly started early, 4 days before. So the rainfall of yesterday is somehow receding, And the significant, particularly the 4 lakes of Chennai, has been getting more water. Until now, the capacity of those lakes are not been full. So the flood-like situation may not happen this time, but still the northeastern monsoon is there, and till next 2 months can get a more rain on that. And particularly the state administration given full swing, and also they opened flood relief camps and also the medical assistance to the public. And also right now the Chief Minister announced that the free food to the public on Amma Canteen, which is run by the Greater Chennai Corporation. So the various measurement has taken by the state government. Right now the situation is normal, and the IMD has predicted the low pressure zone has intensified and going towards the southern Andhra. So the heavy rainfall may be get on the Nellore region of Andhra Pradesh. That is what the latest update from the
All right. Significant precautions are being taken there. Thank you so much, Anbarasan, for all those details from there. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Indian Army renamed Kaksar Bridge in North India's Ladakh to Captain Amit Bharadwaj Setu in tribute to Kargil war heroes. The bridge, now a lasting symbol of valor and sacrifice, was inaugurated by Sunita Tonkaria, the sister of the late Captain Bharadwaj. The initiative was part of the 25th anniversary commemoration of Kargil Vijay Divas, honoring Captain Amit Bharadwaj, who made the ultimate sacrifice during the 1999 conflict. Indian Airlines Indigo on Monday launched its latest route connecting Rajkot and Pune, the first direct flight between the two cities. The new Rajkot-Pune-Rajkot flight was welcomed with a water cannon salute at Rajkot Airport. With this, the number of flights operating out of the Rajkot Airport has gone up to 10. Potters in western Indian city of Rajkot are busy these days as the demand for earthen lamp has surged many folds ahead of Diwali. Clay lamps, often known as diyas, have been a significant part of Diwali celebration since ages. They not only provide light but also carry significant cultural and spiritual value. The Mering community, an ethnic group of northeast Indian state of Manipur, celebrated the annual pre-harvest Lamlai festival. The festival was carried out by men and women of Mering tribe dressed in their traditional attire, and it was followed by a presentation of cultural dance and performances. Samsung Electronics workers in southern India have ended a month-long strike over pay and working conditions after welfare measures were agreed. India is the world's most populous country, and its growing middle class is an important growing market for Samsung, a company whose output accounts for nearly a quarter of South Korea's GDP. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Snap elections in Iceland on November 30th following the collapse of the fractious coalition. European Union and the Gulf Cooperation Council officials meet in Brussels to chalk out the agenda for the first ever summit. Meta to face lawsuits by US states for making teenagers addicted to Facebook and Instagram.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Kuran, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Islamabad. US raises concerns with Israel over bombing campaign in Beirut, gives 30 days deadline to boost humanitarian aid into Gaza. Georgia voters turn out in record numbers as first day of early voting comes to a close. 9 other states to start early voting this week. And in sports, toss gets delayed due to rain in Bengaluru as India takes on New Zealand in the first test. Well, moving on, the United States has told Israel to improve Gaza humanitarian situation in the next month or risk military aid. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin in a letter to Israeli officials said that they must take steps within 30 days to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza to avoid legal action involving U.S. military aid. The letter cited Israel's denial of most humanitarian movements between northern and southern Gaza and burdensome and excessive restrictions on what goods can enter Gaza. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said the letter was not meant as a threat, but reiterated the urgency of increasing humanitarian assistance in Gaza.
We know that it's possible to get humanitarian assistance into Gaza. We know it can be done. We know that the various logistical and bureaucratic obstacles can be surmounted. And so it is incumbent upon the government of Israel to surmount those challenges and get assistance in.
And Miller also spelled out reasons for the U.S. to give a 30 days window for the same.
We didn't think it was appropriate to send a letter and just say this has to happen overnight. We give make clear there's a short window in which we want to see changes because the humanitarian situation is so dire on the ground.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has opposed any ceasefire deal that would not halt Hezbollah from rearming. In a call with French President Emmanuel Macron, Netanyahu said he was opposed to a unilateral ceasefire which does not change the security situation in Lebanon and which will only return it to the way it was. Netanyahu and the Israeli military have insisted there must be a buffer zone along Israel's border with Lebanon where there is no presence of Hezbollah fighters. On Monday, France rejected demands made by Netanyahu for a UN peacekeeping mission known as UNIFIL to pull back from its position in Lebanon. Well, echoing similar sentiments, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni too said heeding Israel's unilateral demand for UN peacekeepers to be withdrawn from the country would be a grave mistake. On Tuesday, she announced a visit to Lebanon on Friday, saying a withdrawal of the UNIFIL mission would be a grave mistake and undermine the credibility of the United Nations. Well, the United States on Tuesday said it was voiced concern to its ally Israel over bombings of Beirut in its campaign in Lebanon against Hezbollah. U.S. officials assured Lebanon that Israel would tamp down its strikes on Beirut and its southern suburbs. And Houthi fighters in Yemen are also being urged for ceasefire as they continue to attack ships in the Red Sea. UN Special Envoy reiterated the UN Secretary General's call for an immediate ceasefire and regional de-escalation 5 days after Iran-aligned Houthi terrorists attacked a Liberia-flagged tanker in the Red Sea.
Regrettably, Yemen is part of this escalation and risks being further dragged in. It has been a particularly difficult year for United Nations personnel in the region. In Yemen, Ansar Allah continues to hold United Nations personnel, civil society workers, and staff of diplomatic missions in arbitrary detention. With all this said, I echo the urgent call of the Secretary General. An immediate ceasefire and regional de-escalation is needed to halt this widening conflict.
While Houthi fighters in Yemen have carried out nearly 100 attacks on ships crossing the Red Sea since November and they are acting in solidarity with Palestinians in Israel's year-long conflict in Gaza. They've sunk 2 vessels, seized another and killed at least 4 seafarers. Well, despite the intensified Israeli operation, Lebanese people are making all efforts to lead a normal life. Some private schools have started the academic year despite the conflict, but public schools stay closed, many of which are used as shelters for displaced people and simply don't have space for school classes. However, country's education minister announced on Sunday that the beginning of school year would be postponed till late October, early November, hoping that security situation would be stabilized by then. And moving on, voters in Georgia turned out in record numbers as the battleground state opened early voting for the November 5th presidential election. Georgia had posted record turnout for the first day of early voting within 6 hours of polls opening, where 16 electoral votes are up for grabs. In many states, early voting is already underway. Georgia's Secretary of State said at least 234,000 voters have already been cast, more than any single day in 2022. Georgia is one of a number of U.S. states that allows voters to cast their ballots in person before the election. Meanwhile, a Fulton County judge in Georgia ruled that certifying elections is a required duty of county election boards, and they are not allowed to refuse the results based on suspicion of miscounts or fraud. And U.S. President Joe Biden rallied support for Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign at a Philadelphia event, urging voters to elect her as the next leader of the country. During his speech, Biden took direct aim at former President Donald Trump and called him a loser. The president also criticized Trump's rhetoric on immigration, accusing him of stoking racism and invoking ideas from the past century.
By the way, I married a Philly girl. Trump's whole come down to demonizing immigrants, call immigrants animals, saying they don't have good genes, saying they poison the blood of our country. It's sick. You know, it's designed to prey on our worst fears. It's un-American. Think about it. Trump hides all his racism, or used to, but now it's just out front. He has the same ideas on race as the 1930s. Trump's ideas in the economy are from the 20s. Trump's idea in women are from the 50s. And folks, this is 2024. We can't go back. We've made too much progress. We have to keep moving forward.
Well, former U.S. President Donald Trump outraged over the release of The Apprentice, Ali Abbasi's new biopic that explores Trump's rise to prominence as a real estate tycoon in the 1980s. Here's a report.
Oh, this is Donald Trump from Mr. Cohn. Thank you so much.
Donald who?
Explosive Donald Trump biopic The Apprentice drew sharp criticism from Trump as he lashed out at the movie crew on social media. Trump called the biopic, which is about his early years as a real estate mogul, a cheap, defamatory and politically disgusting hatchet job. The movie hit US theaters last week, with filmmakers gambling that it'll draw audiences in a fiercely polarized nation just weeks before its subject's election showdown with rival Kamala Harris. None of the major Hollywood studios risked distributing the polarized movie. Actor Jeremy Strong said Donald Trump's recent post criticizing the new movie, The Apprentice, could be a good thing for the film, but also troubling and upsetting for the world.
Roy taught Donald Trump to always attack and to deny everything. And that's exactly what he did in his post yesterday. He attacked us. He denied the veracity of this movie. But the movie is based in historical fact. And I find it troubling that he continues to spread hatred and divisiveness. And it's a sad thing for our world. And
starring opposite actor Sebastian Stan as Trump, Strong plays political fixer Roy Cohn. Film writer Gabriel Sherman said at the premiere, explaining that the film is neither pro or anti-Trump. Despite the hype, the film failed to impress at box office on its opening weekend in America. According to Box Office Mojo, it made it to the number 10 slot. Director Ali Abbasi said he is not surprised though, as he says there's Trump fatigue in the US ahead of the presidential election next month. The Apprentice, which also stars Maria Bakalova as Ivana Trump, is out in the UK on October 18. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, Iceland will hold a snap election on the 30th of November following the collapse of the fractious coalition. Prime Minister Bjarni Benediktsson on Sunday announced the government's resignation over deep divisions within the three-party left-right coalition on issues ranging from foreign policy to asylum seekers and energy. The coalition was made up of Benediktson's Independence Party, the Left Green Movement and the centre-right Progressive Party. Iceland had not been due to hold parliamentary elections until September 2025 at the latest. And foreign ministers of the European Union and the Gulf Cooperation Council met in Brussels on Tuesday ahead of a first-ever summit likely to focus on the West Asia crisis, Russia-Ukraine conflict and other relevant aspects of bilateral cooperation. Foreign ministers posed for a family photo along with the European Union Foreign Policy Chief. The first EU Gulf Cooperation Council summit will commence from Wednesday and will be co-chaired by the President of the European Council, Charles Michel, and the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been invited to attend a summit of European Union leaders in Brussels this week. European Council President Charles Michel said that he has invited Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to present his victory plan at a meeting of EU leaders on the 17th of October. Military support to Kyiv and strengthening Ukraine's battered energy sector are among the topics on the table. Zelensky has been seeking fresh military and financial aid from his European allies. Well, a group of migrants have been transferred from Italy to newly set up asylum processing centers in Albania. A first group of 16 migrants has been headed to Albania. 10 were from Bangladesh and 6 from Egypt, both deemed safe countries by Italy. The transfer is part of a contentious plan to process thousands of asylum seekers outside Italy's borders. Despite criticism of the scheme both at home and abroad, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has called the move a good example. And Facebook parent company Meta must face lawsuits by U.S. states accusing it of fueling mental health problems among teens by making its Facebook and Instagram platforms addictive, a federal judge in California ruled on Tuesday. The judge also rejected motions by Meta, ByteDance's TikTok, Google parent Alphabet's Google.O, YouTube and Snapchat to dismiss related personal injury lawsuits by individual plaintiffs. The other companies are not defendants to the state's lawsuits. The ruling clears the way for states and other plaintiffs to seek more evidence and potentially go to trial. It is not a final ruling on the merits of their cases. Well, the upcoming film Joy, streaming on Netflix from November 22nd, tells the true story of the world's first test tube baby. The film's release comes at a time when reproductive rights remain a divisive issue in the U.S. after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade.
Reproductive rights remain a fiercely contested and debatable issue in the high-octane U.S. elections this time. While the U.S. voters form their own view about the issue, there could have been no better moment for the movie Joy to reach the audience. Premiering at the London Film Festival on October 15, the biographical drama follows 3 British medics and scientists who developed the in vitro fertilization or the IVF. The film focuses on nurse and embryologist Jean Purdy alongside Robert Edwards and Patrick Steptoe. The story underlines the challenges they faced scientifically in opposition from public between the 1960s and 70s before finally achieving success. Since then, IVF procedure has held a ray of hope for millions of couples across the globe. Thompson Mackenzie is in the prime role depicting nurse and embryologist Jean Purdy.
It means a lot. It's a huge responsibility to tell Jean's story and also just to tell the story of IVF because it's had such a massive impact on the world. So it's a huge responsibility and I'm incredibly honoured to be a part of it.
The maker of the movie said the themes it tackles were as timely now as they were 50 years ago when IVF was being invented.
The conversation around IVF has been relevant for forever. You know, around the woman's right to have a choice over autonomy, control over her own body. This conversation is just as relevant now as it was 50 years ago when IVF was being invented. So, yeah, it's very timely.
Edwards received a Nobel Prize in Medicine for his work in 2010, as the Nobel Prize is not awarded posthumously. Puddy, who passed away in 1985, and Steptoe, who died in 1988, were not eligible. Louis Joy Brown, the first human to be conceived by trials procedure, who was born in July 1978, also attended Tuesday's premiere at the Royal Festival Hall. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif welcomed India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar at the venue of the SCO Summit in Islamabad. Dr. Jaishankar is in Pakistan to participate in the 23rd meeting of SCO Council of Heads of Government. Time now for a short break. We'll be back in a while.
This week on Defense Dynamics, we will talk about the recent Army Commanders Conference 2024 held at Gangtok in Sikkim. We will tell you why these conferences are held and what do they discuss. Why was this Army Commanders Conference at Gangtok strategically so important? On the other side, in our neighborhood, why is Pashtun Tahaffuz movement a challenge for Pakistan? And also we will be diving deep into the story that has been at the forefront of global headlines, the tension between China and Taiwan. And also, we'll tell you how Taiwan plans to defend itself. Watch Defense Dynamics on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and on to some business news now. The World Bank voted on Tuesday to boost its lending capacity by $30 billion over 10 years, a move that is aimed at helping developing countries cope with climate change. The bank made changes its internal lending guidelines, freeing up $30 billion in additional lending capacity over the next decade. World Bank President Ajay Banga said their International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, or IBRD arm, would lower its equity to lending ratio by 1 percentage point to 18%. This is based on a report prepared for the group of 20 major economies and demanded by its shareholders, including the United States.
Equity to loan ratios, but also through hybrid capital and portfolio guarantees, has led to, I think, including what we just got today, probably close to $150 billion of more capacity to lend over the coming 7 to 10 years.
Well, Boeing factory workers also held a large rally in Seattle on Tuesday to demand a better wage deal, mounting pressure on the new CEO, Kelly Ortberg, to end a bitter strike that has plunged the plane maker further into financial crisis. Hundreds of striking workers packed the main hall at union headquarters demanding better salary. Around 33,000 unionized West Coast workers, most in Washington state, have been on strike since September 13, demanding a 40% wage increase spread over 4 years and halting production of Boeing's best-selling 737 MAX and its 767 and 777 wide bodies. Boeing last week withdrew its latest offer, which included a 30% wage increase over 4 years, after talks also attended by federal mediators broke down. And auto giants have descended on a Paris Motor Show to showcase their latest concepts and production models to capture public's attention with eye-catching designs and futuristic technologies. The biennial trade show will run from 14th to 20th of October and was attended by French President Emmanuel Macron. Manufacturers such as Volkswagen, BMW and Stellantis have all issued profit warnings in recent weeks, citing challenges including faltering demand for electric vehicles and intense competition from abroad. Paris Motor Show may come out as a turning point for Europe's auto industry, with many rolling out affordable EVs in an attempt to keep up with their Chinese competitors. And the Japan Mobility Show, an exhibition of mobility products and services by more than 200 companies and organizations, kicked off on Tuesday at Macquarie Messe Convention Center in Chiba in Japan. The event is designed to promote innovation by fostering business co-creation between mobility-related companies and startups focused on next-generation activity. Looking to increase EV use, the startups are showcasing compact charging equipment for small parking lots as well as wireless charging technology. And time now for some sports news. The toss for the first test between India and New Zealand has been delayed due to rain in Bengaluru. The match is a very crucial series for the Rohit Sharma-led side as they aim for a World Test Championship final berth. If India can clean sweep the three-match series, India will be all but assured of WTC final spot. India will next face Australia in an away series, and before that, the series at home will be important to garner some crucial points. All eyes will be on youngsters like Yashasvi Jaiswal, who's had a stellar run in recent times. And West Indies pulled off the highest of this T20 World Cup and qualified for the semi-finals against all expectation, knocking out one of the favourites, England. Having last beaten England in 2018, West Indies broke a 13-match losing streak and topped Group B to set up a semi-final against New Zealand. West Indies' win was all the more remarkable because they were without former captain and veteran batter Stephanie Taylor, who's struggling with a knee injury. In her absence, Hayley Matthews and Quanah Joseph found form and wiped away the bulk of a 142-run target. This is only the second time England have missed out on the knockouts of a T20 World Cup after being eliminated in the group stage in 2010. West Indies will take on New Zealand in the second semi-final on Friday. And India's double Olympic medalist PV Sindhu progressed to the second round of Denmark Open after opponent Pa Yu Po of Chinese Taipei retired midway through the second game with the score in Sindhu's favour. Sindhu won the first game 21-8 and was leading 12-7 in the second game before her 29th ranked opponent withdrew because of injury. This was Sindhu's fifth victory over Pa Yu Po in 7 meetings. Meanwhile, India's Lakshya Sen battled hard against China's Lu Guangzhou, but ultimately lost in 3 games to make an early exit from the tournament. Lakshya squandered an opening game advantage, losing 21-12, 19-21, 14-21 to Liu in the men's singles opening round match, which lasted 70 minutes. Malvika Bansod, who had reached the quarterfinals at China Open, also couldn't cross the opening hurdle, going down to Vietnam's Nguyen Thuy Linh 13-21, 12-21 in women's single. And World Food Day, observed annually on October 16, stands as a stark reminder of the pressing issue of hunger and food insecurity affecting our planet. This day draws global attention to the millions struggling with food scarcity and malnutrition, highlighting the crucial need for equitable food distribution and universal access to nutritious meals. Let's take a look at Kajal's report.
World Food Day is celebrated on the 16th of October every year, highlighting the importance of food and the urgent need for food security. The main objective is to spread awareness about malnutrition and starvation, underscoring the critical need for sustainable solutions to food-related challenges. World Food Day was established on October 16, 1945 by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. FAO started this global event to eradicate hunger, ensure food security, boost agricultural productivity, and support a sustainable food system. The theme of World Food Day 2024 is Right to Food for a Better Life and Better Future. The theme emphasizes fundamental human rights to accessible, nutritious, affordable, and sustainable food to ensure everyone's well-being and dignity. India plays a significant role in global food security through various initiatives and contributions. The Indian government has initiated necessary steps to ensure food security to its people. In the last few years, India has also assisted several other countries in times of crisis. World Food Day 2024 inspires collective action towards ending hunger and ensuring food security for all by reducing food waste. and advocating for policy changes that can contribute to global efforts to build a future where everyone has access to nutritious food. Kajal's report for DD India.
Well, before wrapping up this edition of News Hour, we'll show you the glimpses of the wetlands of Latin America, which are among the most vibrant and diverse ecosystems on the planet that is rich with scenic beauty. These wetlands are not just natural wonders, but are also vital for ecosystems that support a wide array of environment. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.